Hello, welcome to my channel. Before we get into Imposter Syndrome, let's talk about this painting. I had no plan going into this. I've been feeling really uninspired and I just wanted to put something on paper and just try to enjoy painting again. So I really took my time and it took me about 11 and a half hours to finish. So I started sketching out my switch and I had my Animal Crossing character walking through this dirt path, and then I added some cute Animal Crossing icons in the sky. Right before painting this, the Nintendo Direct for the new Animal Crossing update went live, so I was really excited about that. I cleared out a little spot on my island to make a little farm. Anyways, I'm really happy with this. I'm happy with how the painting turned out, and I'm excited for y'all to see it. So let's talk about Imposter Syndrome. Imposter Syndrome is not a mental illness and is not recognized in the DSM-5. It's just a way to understand emotions and give a name to what we're feeling. For those who don't know, Imposter Syndrome happens when the way you feel about yourself does not match the title or the way other people perceive you. This can cause you to imagine that at any time now, everyone will find out that you don't live up to the expectations or have the credentials necessary to fit that title, which could make them feel angry and betrayed, and they'll leave you or revoke your title because you've been lying to everyone and you don't deserve to use that title. The thing about Imposter Syndrome is that your brain is lying to you. Despite having the necessary credentials, you still feel like you shouldn't have the title. Your brain keeps giving you more and more reasons that you aren't qualified. These could be credentials that are not even in the definition of the title, or that are not relevant to your work. Today I'll be talking about Imposter Syndrome regarding the titles of real artist and good artist. So let's talk about the term real artist, because this term annoys me so much. We can define real as something that actually exists, something that is not imagined and is not fake, and we can define artist as someone who makes art. A cook is someone who cooks, a driver is someone who drives, and an artist is someone who makes art. A real artist is someone who is not imaginary, who makes art. That is it. You are a real artist. The only criteria you need is that you make art. You don't need a certain amount of followers or subscribers. You don't need to be selling your art for thousands of dollars. You don't even need to be selling your art, period. There's no number that gives you the title of real artist. If you make art, you are a real artist. Another thing that annoys me is the term real artist implies that there are fake artists. Unless you are stealing art and claiming it as your own, you're not a fake artist. Now about being a good artist. What even is a good artist? One of the problems is that the title of good artist, like many things in the art world, is subjective, and the definition changes from person to person. For one person, the definition of a good artist could be someone who has a lot of traditional technical skill. For example, being able to make hyper-realistic paintings of still lives. For another person, the definition of a good artist is someone who can inspire others and make the world a better place. For example, being able to make educational art that displays how racism exists in our society. Person 1 and Person 2 have different goals and therefore different definitions of what is good and bad art. Which leads us to tip number 1. Define what art means for you and your goals. You don't need to fulfill everybody's criteria to qualify as a good artist. You can pick a few to focus on and just be good at those. Make sure that the rubric you're evaluating yourself with matches your goals. If someone insists that a real artist or a good artist does XYZ and that doesn't get you any closer to your artistic goals, then don't listen to them. You create the rubric for your art. That isn't to say that you should ignore all criticism and stunt your growth as an artist. If someone gives you criticism that will help you get to your goal, then listen to them. What I'm saying is if you receive criticism that doesn't align with your artistic values and will hold you back from getting to where you want to be, give yourself permission to ignore that advice. It could be great advice for someone else, but not for you. Tip 2. List reasons you are a bad and good artist. This will help you see why you feel the way you do in a less abstract way. Then go back to your goals and make sure that what's on your list matches up with your goals. If one of your reasons for why you are a bad artist is that you're slow, and your goal is to make very detailed, realistic portraits, then being slow and taking time to fix small details is not holding you back from doing that, and can be deleted from that list or moved to your good list. If there are things on your bad list that are hindering you from reaching your goals, then work on them. And remember, this is a process. We are working towards reaching our goals, not beating ourselves up for not being there yet. If you have a few bad reasons, that doesn't mean you're entirely a bad artist. I'm sure you have some good artistic qualities, even if it's hard to recognize them. Some of them may be being open to trying new things, being ready to learn from any experience, having creative ideas, being able to break down images into simple shapes, inspiring others, conveying your message clearly, working fast and not focusing on perfection, having patience for detailed art or repetitive tasks, working with abstract ideas, working on representational art, being a jack of all trades, or having a strong color selection. Tip 2. Stop comparing. We're all on different paths. Not comparing yourself to others is really hard, especially now with the internet being part of our daily routines. We can see so many things all at once, so many different paths other than our own. And it's hard to remember that we have different goals, and we've been working on different things leading up to this point. Very rarely do you see the start of someone's artistic journey. When you're in the beginning, it's hard to record it and share it with the world, especially if you aren't proud of the product. Most of the artists you see have been making art for many years and are able to put lots of hours into practicing. Don't compare yourself to someone who has been drawing close to daily for the past 10 years if you've only been drawing on the weekends for 3 years. Also, social media is showcasing only the good art. When you scroll on Instagram, you don't see the thousands of hours they spent trying to draw that hand. You don't see the many sketches that they made to get to the end result. Most of the time, you're only seeing the final product. Don't compare your work in progress to a finished piece. And take the time you need to finish it if you can. I struggled a lot with this in college. We had a week or two to finish a project, and I just didn't have enough time to finish the pieces in the way I wanted. If you only finish one piece every few months, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad artist. Tip 3. You need to be bad to get good. Every artist makes art they don't like, regardless of what stage in their journey they're in. It's an inevitable part of the artistic process. This is more frequent when you're starting out, but it happens to experienced artists as well. You will make art that you don't like. That doesn't mean you're a bad artist. Just learn from it and use what you learned in your next piece. It helps you learn what you don't like in your art and what you can work on. For every good painting, there are many that came before it that weren't as successful. Tip 4. Critiquing and making art are two different skills that need to be developed. It's a lot quicker and subconscious to beef up your critiquing skills than it is your art making skills. When you look at other people's art, you are flexing your critiquing muscles. You notice what you like and what you don't like. You may not say it out loud, but it's happening. You're soaking up information about what works well in the piece and things you would do differently. And this happens every time you look at art. The time you spent looking at art is likely higher than the time you spend making art. The more you learn about art, the more mistakes you can recognize in your own work, which can cause you to feel less skilled or dislike your art more than you did before. So, you practice creating until your hands catch up with your mind, and your ability to recognize mistakes matches your ability to create effectively. So, the less you create and the more you critique, the worse you'll feel about your art. And the more you create and the less you critique, the better you'll feel about your art. That isn't to say that you shouldn't be critiquing at all. Critiquing is a very important part of the artistic process. But if you're critiquing yourself way more than you are practicing, then it's not going to feel good. Thanks for watching the video. If you struggle with this too, I want you to know that you're not alone. And if you found this helpful, be sure to give it a like. And if you're digging my vibes, then hit subscribe, smash the bell so you can catch me live, have a question or comment, let me know. Let's start a conversation in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.